Hey everybody, welcome back to the BJJ Fanatics podcast. My name is Joe Gilpin. I am joined today by our guest for the week, Mr. Matheus Gonzaga. How you doing this week, Matheus?
Very good. I want to thank you, Joe, and BJJ Fanatics for having me on the podcast. Huge honor for me, like our good friend Bernardo Faria says. Yep.
Always a huge honor for me. And you are actually a guy who knows Bernardo pretty well personally as well, because as a black belt, you were a teacher at his school for a little while there. Can you tell me about your relationship with Bernardo?
Oh, Bernardo is amazing. His personality is, something that you can be. It's contagious. You know what I mean? He always, every time that you meet him, he's always laughing. He's always like happy to see you. Plus, his determination too. I wasn't able to see his final preparations on his athlete career as how hard he was working as an athlete, but I could see how hard he works for the company and everything, how dedicated he is, and that dedication, being around people that shows you hard work and everything, it changes you. You know what I mean? You see, like, man, I gotta work harder like this guy. Was awesome being there, helping with the academy, teaching the students. Yeah, I have Bernardo as a very good friend of mine.
It's very cool. And yeah, Bernardo is very much the way he is on the videos. I feel like that's the way he is, every time I've ever seen him,
Like,
right?
yeah, always excited.
How did you get associated with Bernardo? How did you meet? How did you end up as a teacher at his school? I don't know if I know that story.
So when I arrived in Boston, I was training at BTT, and then there I met Zenga. Zenga was training there, and there was one day that at that time I was a brown belt and he was black belt, so I didn't want to be calling him out or nothing. So like in a day he came and said, "Hey, do you wanna train?" I said, "Yeah, sure." Then I trained with him, and then he was like amazed and said, "Oh man, you're so like small, but yet so good. Do you wanna do like any DVD with me?" I said, "Oh man, like DVD." I think everybody dreamed to be like on a magazine cover or having a DVD, so people can know your work. I said, man, that would be amazing and everything. So I did my first DVD back in 2016, and from there I was building a nice relationship with Zenga. And then after starting working with Zenga and everything, he said, "Hey, Bernard's gonna be coming to Boston. He's gonna move here. He's gonna open an academy. I can put you in touch with him about like teaching and everything." And I said, "Man, that would be amazing." Then every time that Bernardo would come from New York to Boston for a business meeting or something like that, I would meet Bernardo. Then we would talk for a while. So, and then after he really made up his mind to come to Boston, he said, "Hey, Matheus, I'm gonna be bringing another guys along too. Do you wanna join us and everything?" I said, "Yeah, man, like of course." Like Bernardo Faria asking me to join him. So, and from there, our relationship was just growing, and I'm very glad that I accepted the offer. And the offer was like really made to me, and that was how I met Senga, how I met Bernardo.
That first series that you put out way back in 2016, that was one of the first ones that ended up on the site, and that was the lightweight guard, and that was a lot of sweeps and submissions from the open guard, right? Can you tell me a
Yeah,
little bit about that?
yeah, that was BJJ Fanatics was just starting at that time. BJJ Super Deal was still pretty big and stuff. Then we put the BJJ Super Deals inside BJJ Fanatics as our daily deal. And I didn't have much like knowledge how DVDs work and everything. And I tried to put my best out there. It kind of ended up a little bit random, the techniques there. But I tried to put in a open guard attacks that I used to do a lot, and about either submitting, sweeping, or defending as well, like how to defend a double under. And yeah, that was pretty much my DVD. I think I did 20 positions, 20 techniques there, and it was like a dream coming true. It was almost like being a Grace Mag cover or something like that. It was pretty nice.
It is nice. It is a great product. So you spent a few years teaching at the Bernardo Faria Academy in Boston. Can you tell me a little bit, and at the same time you were competing and you were training for yourself as well. Can you kind of tell me how teaching all the time and becoming that instructor changed you as a fighter? Did it have any influence on your style and your game?
I believe there are a ton of guys out there that they're just competitors. They don't teach, and they act so good. But it's kind of a cliche. But everyone that start teaching, you kind of get another feel of jiu-jitsu on your own game, because sometimes some concepts, some techniques are so, let's say, rooted inside of you that you don't think much about it. It's kind of automatic when you try to do it. But when a student asks you about it, and then you say, oh, I can improve this here. Oh, I see this differently. Now I can give more attention to this leverage or something. And it helped me a lot because kind of open up your mind. It's kind of you studying jiu-jitsu alone or studying jiu-jitsu with a partner, two minds thinking of the same thing, and kind of forces you to think outside of the box, because sometimes they come with questions to you that are not so easy to explain, and then you got to figure out a way to break that down and really explain. That was pretty good. I believe that was like a huge step in my jiu-jitsu career. I believe everyone, let's say blue belts, purple belts, they are starting, if they can help in the academy, even with the kids or with the beginner classes, that's gonna open their minds a lot, and for sure they're gonna see some improvement in their jiu-jitsu.
So you were somebody who was teaching at one of the bigger academies in the Boston area. You're not there now. You've since moved. But can you kind of tell me your opinion of the Boston area for jiu-jitsu in general? I feel like people don't really think about it, but there are a lot of really tough guys there.
Yeah, no. As I thought, as I said before, there is the BTT out there. I think the academy is there since the end of the 90s, so it's a pretty first schools there, I believe. Um, there is Bernardo there with the alliance. There is another alliance in Framingham as well. Um, I believe the jiu-jitsu there is growing. Is nothing compared to California, Florida, of course.
Mm.
But yeah, of course, we have pretty big names out there in Boston. I think there is Mass BJJ as well. That's pretty good out there. So I believe it's growing. Like I said, it's not like in almost every corner, like in California, you go here, like you have Atos, you have Teles, you have Xande Ribeiro, you have like so many people in one place. But Bernardo coming to Boston, he made, let's say, it incremented the BJJ in Boston so much more, and it's growing. Hopefully, more guys are gonna come in and give more attention to the area as well. But yeah, I believe in terms of California and other places, it's still growing.
Let's talk about California because you depart from Boston and you move to Atos in California, one of the best teams in the world. Why was Atos the right decision for you?
When I was competing a lot, I always try to be part of the biggest teams. I always try to earn my spot there, as I did in GF as I did in all the other academies that I trained in my city, my hometown, Brazil. Uh, so after I moved here to the United States in 2016, even before meeting Bernardo or anything else, I was having my plans already to move to Atos, because I knew it was a very, let's say, we have academies out there, but not all the academies in the US are focused, let's say, are professionals, let's say like that. They
Mhm.
can have either the beginner or just people that do for hobby, and very highly skilled athletes here as well. So I thought that here in the United States, a very good option would be either Renzo's or Marcelo Garcia or Atos. But as I came from Rio, it's a tropical country and Rio is always hot. I didn't want to be much in, longer in Boston with that cold and everything, or either in New York or nothing. And I also had a ton of friends here as well. And that was the biggest factor that made my mind to not try to go to other places out there. Like I mentioned, where Bernardo used to train with Marcelo in New York, so like an awesome place, tons of competitors, world champions there. But here I had so many friends like Hulk, Jonas Gracie, that's my brother-in-law, and so many other friends here as well from Rios. And when you have already like friends in the academy, it makes it easier for you to go. Plus, living here in California helps you a lot, let's say money wise, because you don't have to be paying to travel, like flying and then renting a car, nothing. Every used to be the Pan American and worlds used to be here in California, so it's way easier for you to save more money to be competing out here. There are a ton of competitions out here as well. I don't see that as much in New England or on the East Coast, but here we have so many: California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and it's everything so close here. So that was one of the biggest decisions. Plus, um, I am very fortunate to be training under such legends in the sport. I was training with Rodolfo Vieira and many other champions in Jeff team back then. In Boston, I trained with Bernardo, and now I'm training with Andre Galvão, that, the winningest ADCC athlete of all time. So I'm pretty glad to be working with those guys and having Galvão here. I always used to watch his fights, the way that he implements the judo with jiu-jitsu as well.
Andre, one of the best of all time, but I actually want to go back for a second because I didn't realize that you had trained with Rodolfo with GF Team. I knew you were formerly GF Team. Can you kind of tell me a little bit about training with Rodolfo and kind of being around him?
Yeah, it was amazing. Back when I was training at this academy in my city, I was competing in Rio all the time. And Rodolfo saw me there, and then he kind of, after this tournament, after I think I did 5 fights as a blue belt, and he said, "Hey man, like, come here, let's talk and everything." I was like, "Oh man, Rodolfo's saying that to me." And then he was like talking with me like about different things, and then in the end he said, "Hey man, what do you think about going to Jeff Team and doing some training there with me?" I was like, "Oh shit, man!" I'm like, "Of course." And then I joined, and being around Rodolfo was amazing because he worked so hard, man. That guy could do many rounds. I was training, and then I was seeing him like just going one after one roll, and then he wouldn't stop. There was one day as well that we did some conditioning together as well, and I saw that guy going to like complete exhaustion. He was like really out of, you know, he even like, man, was tough that day. I said, man, I need to work as hard as this guy, and that was a pretty good example for me, because at that time I was purple belt. I think I just got my purple belt at that time, and I was like, man, I want to train like this guy. And man, for sure, everything that he conquered in BJJ now is conquering in MMA is paying off, and it's well deserved, because that guy really works as hard as, like, man, it's hard to see someone working as hard as him.
That's crazy. So it sounds between the three legends that you kind of laid out, Hidalgo, Bernardo, and Andre, it's kind of tougher. It's tough to name anybody who works harder than any of those guys, right?
Yeah,
Those
it's
guys are like
really,
the top level of putting in work.
yeah. Rodolfo was pretty much a top player. He did tons of judo, guard passing, but he also had a pretty good guard as well. We could see when he was fighting against, I think, Leo Leite in Copa Polio, that he even tried some berimbolo and went to Leo Leite's back. He was trying to play butterfly guard because of tererê. He was inspiring tererê. Bernardo was more a guy that um, in his game is really tough to beat Bernardo. If you don't know his game, if you're not aware, because Bernardo is one guy that pretty much has half guard, over under, omoplata, but to beat him on his game is really tough because he covers every single spot of his game, and that's why he became a 5-time world champion, because he was so good in what he was doing that nobody had his kind of game, at least in his division. We know Jake McKenzie, Lucas Leite, they are also guard players, but nobody implements the sweep in the over under passing or sweep or any other passing like Bernardo does. And Galvão is one guy that's pretty much complete. He does everything like guard, passing, throwing as well. It's amazing to see the fight that Galvão put up with Bochecha, I think in Pan Am's 2012. Galvão tried to put so many positions in place, but he somehow wasn't able to get closer and more attached to Bochecha to consolidate the position. But he put so many like nice positions out there. I was like, man, that's tough to see one like medium heavy guy doing some like reverse de la Riva and going to the back, and then he could throw Bochecha with a judo takedown and as well. So those three guys, I'm pretty, like I said, it's a privilege. I'm pretty fortunate to be that I ever worked with them.
When it comes to Atos, Atos is recognized around the world as, if it's not the number one gym, it's top three no matter what, right? What makes that gym so special? What makes that gym so successful right now in this moment?
Man,
From your point of view as a new person coming in.
yeah, I was about to say that because I joined in the end of September last year, so I'm about to be 1 year. But as far as I could see, that success is 100% Galvão's and Angélica's effort, because I never trained I never did a training so intense, so specific, and so strong, so well-rounded like Galvão does. It's pretty. I never like did any type of training like he does. It's totally different. When I first came in and I did my first class, I was like, man, that's why these guys are the best. They train so differently. They train specifically. Sometimes we get there, we do some specific, and then after the specific, let's say it was a leg drag specific. The training is gonna start from the leg drag, and then you gotta like make up to it, and sometimes start on the back. So, and he's so intense with his let's say his training regimen. His training is so intense, so well rounded. He covers every single spot. Plus, he's one guy that he teaches modern jiu-jitsu as well. Because sometimes I used to be like in some academies training, then I would say, man, I know in my division my opponents are gonna try to do some 50-50 or berimbolo, de la Riva or something like that, but I have no training partners that plays this game. But he in Atos, he covers everything. He put us to train lapel guards, squid guards, de la Riva, passing those types of guards as well. Some judo takedowns as well. So yeah, I think because that's kind of easy to tell, as he's the head coach. Everything that he's gonna do, it's gonna reflect the work that he does here. And then plus also the athletes that are here with us are also willing to pay the price, and we have so many talented athletes as well, because you can be the best trainer in the world, but if your athletes, if your students are not willing to pay that price, like you're not gonna have that many competitors. So let's say you're not gonna have that many winners in the tournament. And I think that's the main reason why Atos is where it is today. because of the training Galvão. It's at least I've trained in some other places, and at least as far as I could see, his training is totally different, totally different.
So, a question I have because I see Atos is so successful, gi and no gi. You know, some gyms they only specialize, or some athletes they only specialize, but you guys seem to take a lot of pride in doing well at both styles. How often are you splitting that training in your
Man, that's
experience
one
as a
thing
new guy?
that also amazed me, and also was one of the key factors to be moving here. Um, Galvão, he's out of the box. He dedicates himself so much. He gets help from other wrestling coaches as well, and then he brings that coach in, and that coach teaches the whole class, not just Galvão. You know what I mean? And we pretty much do Tuesday and Thursday as nogi class at night, but the other days is more depending on the season as well. Because if we are doing, let's say, in the normal calendar year from IBJJF, from January to June, we do in the morning the training in the gi. But after Worlds, that training in the morning with the gi gets switched by the no-gi training. You know what I mean? So we end up training more no-gi at that time than with the gi. You know what I mean? But the first part of the year is more like that twice, at least for us that come from a gi perspective, because in many gyms like here there are guys that just trains no gi and that's it. They don't even put the gi to train and stuff. So that guys they might do some other trainings during the academy schedule, but it's impressive what Atos does, because I think they won Nogi Worlds 4 years in a row, as the academy, the first number one academy. Plus, we have Galvão, the winningest ADCC player of all time. We have Hulk now. That's always like nowadays in this Corona pandemic. He's always doing gi, no gi. He's not like afraid of anything. We have Kainan. That's awesome as well. Just won ADCC, won Worlds as well. So yeah, it's amazing to see how this academy is so complete in every aspect: standing, bottom, top, gi, no gi.
Something I want to, while I still have you here, I want to change gears a little bit and talk about you've had the chance to do something that very few guys have done, and that is be the uke for John Danaher in some of the BJJ Fanatics videos. Can you kind of tell me about working with John and your experience with him?
Oh, it's amazing. John is very funny. When I came here to Atos, people were saying, "Hey, are you the UK for John's DVDs?" So yeah, that's me. Like man, people are all like all over the place. They are buying his videos, and they are knowing me as well. But John kind of surprised me. I think that's kind of a mistake on our Brazilian part. We are more focused on, let's say, the Brazilians, because I understand here as wrestling is so rooted in the American history. You guys have this in the college, high school. So many Americans they tend to do more nogi than gi. So for us that have been training gi only for the whole life, we tend to look more at people from Pan Am's, Worlds, and some other like Brazilian nationals, and then we tend to look up to those guys more. But John, I believe he came more to the nogi side. He has and had so many nice and talented athletes that I didn't even know much about John. And the little that I knew, it was because people was saying that he was really good with heel hooks and leg locks, and I thought that was it, because there are some guys in this sport that they only do this and they don't go beyond that. We can talk about like Bernardo. He doesn't do open guard,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but he does guard and works and he wins tournaments, and that's what matters. So I thought he was just like good at that, but man, he surprised me. I believe he's a mastermind of Jiu Jitsu. He's let's say he's one. We're gonna see one coach like him in every other generation. You know what I mean? Because he studies a lot. He truly loves the art, and he surprised me even more with the Go Further Faster series, where he puts the gi on, and then I said, "Man, this guy knows this much with the gi too." I was like, "Man," and I learned so much with John as well. Like I said, sometimes I used to just do things automatically, but he was able to break down some lots of the things that me, Bernardo, and other people do without like thinking nowadays. And it was a huge honor for me to also work with John, and I appreciate a lot. It was long days of filming, but he also would make that very fun as well. He would tell his stories like everybody knows how it is. It's very fun. It was a pleasure to be among him and the others.
That's what surprised me the most the first couple of times that I met Professor Danaher was, yeah, his sense of humor. He's a guy who makes a lot of jokes and he's really fun to be around. And yeah, his storytelling is,
Yeah, he's
as
the
good as
best
his teaching.
storyteller that I ever met. His stories are, man, it was amazing. Every single weekend would be a different story, and he would make everybody laughing, and everybody would be interested in his story. Was just amazing.
Absolutely, man. You're a guy. It sounds like you've, with your hard work and traveling around, you've had a chance to learn from some of the best guys on earth.
Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate.
Very much so. So you're also a very accomplished fighter in your own right. You're a very competitive black belt, fighting in the adult division, color belt world champion. You've had a good career up to this point. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the knowledge that you've put out there and some of the series that you've produced. Uh, we have two ones that you've produced recently that are exciting for a couple of different reasons. One, they're both a lot longer. They're a lot more information. Instead of 3 or 4 volumes, these are 8 volume series, one on side control, and then one on taking the back and finishing. Let's focus on the side control one first. What's on this series that people can learn?
Upon working with Danaher, I realized that he put a new standard out there, a new way to make a DVD more professional, more understandable, breaking down every single thing. And Bernardo always used to tell me, Matheus, you gotta have at least 10 DVDs in my store. What are you doing? You need to do this. And I said, you know what? Let me talk about side control. And on my side control, I believe it is 11 hours. It's pretty long. And I try to cover everything that I ever been taught and what I developed. I focused on controlling, maintaining the side control, what you do when people are pushing your hips, when they're escaping the hips. Um, I also covered Neon Belly from there, Kizagatami. I tried to divide the DVD on arm locks, so I put arm bars, I put kimuras there. I tried to put some shoulder locks as well. I could manage to get some omoplatas from side control, wrist locks, and strangles as well. And I could do strangles with the lapels. I could do strangles with the legs, like a side triangle from side control. That's my favorite position from there. And I also covering many submissions. I also try to give another, um, let's say, option to some of the uh, customers that's gonna be buying the DVD. What if they are on the side control and they can't do anything? Because we always have that kind of guy in the academy. They are so well closed that you can't do anything on him. So I also I also taught there control that need to be binded on the side control there. You can get submissions from there because I my focus with that video was just like making people think outside of the box. It's not just because you love side control, you are there, you must submit someone there, because that's not the goal. The goal is submission from whenever, from wherever you are, in terms of competition. You know what I mean? If you're out there, you gotta submit the guy. And one guy that was really good to do that as well was Cron Gracie. He had a pretty simple game, but he wasn't like a finishing machine. He already submitted so many world champions out there, and that was my goal with the side control, covering everything as maintaining how to defend some of the, how to counterattack some defenses as well, and as many submissions that I could put out there. Again, arm locks, shoulder locks, wrist locks, strangles, so people can be well rounded when they are on the side control.
I absolutely love it. And Matheus, your third series with us, but the second one I want to talk about right now. Your four-part series, I Got Your Back, back takes and finishes from all over, where you kind of go through some of your back taking sequences and then how you guys get to the lapel chokes and finish the fight. Can you kind of tell me about this series and what went into it and your thinking around it?
Yeah. As Bernardo asked me to do another video and everything, I was like, man, let me try to, let's say, as we were talking about just previously, the submission is the main goal. From like, doesn't matter the position that you are in the tournament, submission is the main goal. So I said, there's no better place to submit somebody or get the victory from than attacking from behind. You know what I mean? It's way harder to defend someone from behind. So that was my mission, let's say, on that DVD. My focus was to give you some positions, either from open guard, closed guard, half guard bottom, half guard on top. So you can go to that spot as quick as you can and submit the opponent, finish the fight as quick as you can. One of the best athletes out there that we could see doing implementing these, let's say, ideology was Rafa Mendes, Miel Bros, Mike Musumeci. You know, they were type of guys that they would be on top or on the bottom. They would go to your back to finish you from there. You know, so that was my main goal. Also to give the customers a roadmap, let's say, so they can be well-rounded from the most common positions, how you make a pathway to the back from there. You know what I mean? Just because it's the easiest spot. And I didn't teach only just the submissions or positions to take me there, to take the customers there, the practitioners. I also covered how to maintain the back there, because let's say that doesn't matter how many positions you know that takes you to your opponent's back, but if you don't know how to maintain it, if your head's too far away from his head, you're not gonna get anything from there. They are gonna escape every single time. So I didn't want to just, hey guys, this is how you do it, have fun with it. I just said, no, I need to also, like I did with my side control DVD, I taught how to maintain that. I taught how to maintain that as well. And I tried to do the same with the back. And I got some pretty nice tricks over there. And most of my fights I could submit from the back as well. So just wanted to share that thing with people, that if you need to make a strategy, if you need to have a game to put up on the tournaments and a winning game, that game to go to make a path and have the focus to go to your opponent's back is one of the best out there.
Man, I totally agree. Matheus, you've been super generous with your time today. Last question before we get out of here. What's it like training with your brother-in-law?
With Jonatas, if you're, you know, he has a pretty good, he's stronger, heavier than me. He has a pretty good understanding of his power, let's say. So he doesn't really like hurt me or anything, but he doesn't give me an easy time in either. You know, he always gives me a hard time. It's always very good to train with him. He's never because, and that's pretty good because it helps me to achieve my goals. You know, it makes me tougher and everything. Some people sometimes complain about, oh, this training partner, he's so hard to train. Yeah, I can't do anything. But you know that's a good thing for you. You don't need to do 100% of your training, your roles with people that's so tough to beat, tough to train. But you need to have those type of guys. But we don't get heated in a way that, oh man, you submitted today, so today you don't look at my face. You know, we're gonna be apart. No, nothing. It gets heated in a way that nobody's gonna give in any position. No, nobody's gonna stop fighting. It's gonna be fighting back at all times. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good relationship, and he's an awesome guy as well. He has two instructionals on the BJJ Fanatics as well. He knows so much jiu-jitsu. He's so young. He's like 22 or something, but he knows a lot of jiu-jitsu, and it's pretty good to be around him.
Man, I totally agree. Something that really surprised me, but in a good way, was seeing that he was in the corner for Andre at ADCC. Man, you look at all the fighters that are at Atos, and to take like a 21-year-old, you know, it says a lot about Andre's opinion of the guy, right? Uh,
Yeah, because you know, kind of, I think he was the only one that was not really competing there. JT was competing. JT used to be very close with Galvan as well, but now JT is in New York. He still has a pretty good relationship with Galvan, but at that time he was competing kind of as well. But on this last ADC camp that Galvan did, Jonas was like, let's say, his right hand man there. You know, he was always like training with Galvan and pushing him and say, hey, no, you're not gonna rest today. You're gonna train and let's go, let's go. So he was motivating Galvan all along the camp. So I think it was, let's say, worth it to give Jonathan the position to be there coaching him, because Jonathan's better than any other athlete there, was the one that was every single day with
mhm.
Galvan, lifting weights together, training hard together, studying positions and everything, and one motivating the other. Um, so yeah, Jonathan is an amazing athlete, and he can coach as well.
You have a lot of jujitsu in your family now that I think of it as well, because your wife is obviously she's a very successful jujitsu fighter as well. What's it like having that much jujitsu, you know, in your family as well?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing because jiu-jitsu is so powerful, mainly with things about knowledge. You know, I know my accent still sucks, but through jiu-jitsu, I can learn a new language. I was able to overcome so many fears that I have inside me. Um, Mainly those because I didn't have much self-confidence at school. I was bullied and everything. So I started doing jiu-jitsu for that reason, to defend myself. It wasn't 100% the focus of become a world champion one day, even though I did. But that was my main goal. And having like my whole family basically doing this, it's amazing because I can see that my children or my niece, uh, my nephew, everybody's gonna grow up strong, let's say, because jiu-jitsu either healthy for you and also teach you so many things like about self-confidence, making you strong, making you overcome the obstacles in life, achieving your goals. So it's amazing because not many people around there, not many families out there, they are so active, you know, doing any other type of sports. And I'm glad that we do jiu-jitsu as well.
I absolutely love it. Matheus, you've been so generous with your time. I really appreciate it. If anyone wants to find your series, they can find them right now on bjjfanatics.com. If anybody wants to, they can look in the show notes for the podcast, and there will be a link in there where they can follow and find all your series directly. Matheus, I want to give you a chance to thank anybody right now, sponsors maybe, you know, plug your social media as well. Where can people find you?
Yeah, sometimes I get some people They bought my instructional, and then they come to my Instagram and they shoot me some messages. I try to answer as quick as I can. So if you guys want to find me on Instagram, it is Matheus Gonzaga BJJ, just my first last name BJJ, simple. And I just want to thank my wife Jennifer Gonzaga as well, because she has been helping me a lot with the training. It's awesome to have a wife that also does jiu-jitsu as same goals as you. My brother-in-law for everything that he has been done for me. Galvão, he's an amazing athlete, coach, and friend as well. He's always laughing, pretty much like Bernardo. He loves funny videos. His Instagram is full of funny videos as well. So I would like to thank them, Angelica Galvão, the professors, and everybody in Atos. I made really good friends here as well, like just 1 year here with them, and I already made so many friends. And I cannot forget to mention Bernardo and Zenga. I just absolutely love those two guys, and I'm glad to be their friend and be around them. And thank you as well for inviting me to the podcast, also giving up your time for being here. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.